Dawn.
Hi there. How are you?
Good, and you?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
All right. We have another minute or so. Okay. So I will be recording this so that we will have a recording of it to share with other people or to review if I go too fast on anything. This is a Q&A. I also have an agenda of things to cover if we don't get enough questions, which is fine. Um, so one of the things I will do is pretend that I've gotten a SMART goal to create peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for school. So I'm going to create a project. I'm going to create the project plan, and I'm going to create the stuff in the RAID log and do status updates and just execute the project. So that's what we'll do. But I want to open it to questions. Feel free to ask any questions you have. Um, and you can put them on the chat, and I will try to check those often. And then, but also, since we don't have too many people on this week, feel free to just ask the question away and speak up. So, to start with, does anybody have any questions that they may have? Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then I am going to share my screen. If anything does come up on topic or not on topic, no. So, all right. So I'm going to start by I've given a SMART goal, and it's going to be to create sandwiches for school. And so I am going to enter in my SMART goal into the PMO, and then we will take it from there. So from SharePoint, I'm going to go into Project Management Office from Tools, Project Management Office. And from in here, I'm going to enter in a SMART goal. So let's do that. If I go in here, I'm going to be the responsible for it. So I will go to responsible with them already here. I could go to the accountable and look at what I'm accountable for, but I'll just start with my responsible. So I'm going to hit new. The form's going to pop here, and I'm going to name this PB and J. And then I typed up a couple things, so I'm just going to cut and paste to go a little quicker. So for the project description, but we are going to build peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and serve it to a school by October 1st. So kind of in the SMART format, you're time bound. You're going to do. So next is, this is not confidential, so I'll leave it there. I do want a project plan because I'm going to have a bunch of people on the project. It's for this fiscal year. It is a SMART goal. Strategic initiative is, it's just operational, or nothing at all. We'll leave it at that alone for now. It's not one of the transformation initiatives, nor that. We could put, if we're part of a department, maybe we were something like, we're in finance. The budget, we'll say our budget is, what do we think our budget should be? $2,000 for doing these sandwiches. And then we've got our business driver. So we're going to enter in our business driver. I was thinking 2000 originally. All right, business driver. If the kids have a good experience, they may be good future. This is the driver or project objectives. Maybe good future customers. We may expand our brand to the local community. The school will pay $2,000 for delivery. All right. So we've got our business driver in there. Solution background. We're going to put our solution background in here. So what did we consider when coming up with it? So to start with, we said we considered other types of sandwiches, but most have a higher cost of components. Um, Also, other sandwiches are not liked as universally. Peanut butter and jelly is liked by most kids, so it also has the lowest cost to manufacture and ease of transport. So it's a good choice for this project. For key milestones, let's see. For key milestones for this particular project, I've got two. We'd say manufacturing needs to be complete by 10 p.m. September 30th for transport to the school. And then the school needs to serve all sandwiches by 12 p.m. October 1st. So we have some constraints, but those are milestones that we need to hit. And then our success criteria. How are we going to measure whether we're successful? Now, the one above was some key milestones that you could kind of measure yourself, but this is also how we're going to do it. So we're going to say all children at the school are fed by 1 p.m. October 1st. That's one success criteria. If they didn't get fed, then it's not you're not successful. The other thing is the children rate the sandwiches as at least an 8.5 on our satisfaction scale. So we're going to do a survey and find out whether they liked our sandwiches or not. Stakeholder group, this would be people that are impacted by our project. So we might consider, whether it's the school staff or the children or whoever else may be impacted. Select our responsible. So I'm going to make me the responsible, and let's make let's see. Let's make you the accountable. I'll make. Oh, you didn't pop up there. I'll have to see what's going on with yours. We'll make Claudia the consulted. All right, so we have some people in there. We're going to start this the 9th, and our planned end date is, of course, October 1st. Do we have any risks? Sure, we can come up with a couple of risks. So we have what might happen that might impact the project. So there may be peanut allergies for the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or kids may have predetermined opinions against our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So those in there. And then we've got dependencies. The school, what are we dependent on? So the school must allow for pre-prepared food, and suppliers must have adequate stock for components. So just things that our project depends on. And then we'll say we're ready to submit. The project's all ready to go, and we're going to hit save. So now, give it a moment. Here is our thing. So if we go over here to the accountable, I'm not going to see it because I am not accountable for that. So it does not show up in the list over here, but I am responsible. So it shows up in the list over here under responsible. So I can see ready to submit that I put it in there. And if I want to edit my form, I can always click on it again and come edit and make sure I've got everything correctly. So now that it's there, the PMO is going to generate a project for it. Let's see. I have to check my chat. Let's see what we got. If I can figure out how to open my chat here. Oops. That is not what I meant to click. Try that again. I can't find the chat. There are 2 people that commented in the chat, it said. But when I click on chat, nothing happens.
Okay, it's from Claudia, the one that knows all of her fab formulas and if-then statements from Excel. Sorry, Claudia, I remember that from last week. Okay. And of course, once again, here she is, a superstar. I've done all these. I have them in drafts. When I click complete and publish, who will receive it? My boss, my team, how will they be aware and check them out?
Okay, so this you're referring to the fact that we've submitted a SMART goal and you want to know who's okay. So when you've submitted it, it's going to come to me at the PMO. So I'll be notified that this was created. If you've put it in there and you're not sure about your goal yet and you still want to be reviewed, you can ask whoever you're accountable for to review it. And if they go in here and take a look under the accountable tab, then they can go in and they would see the project listed here under their projects because they're accounted for it. And then they could go through and they could review what you've put in there. So if you would like your accountable to review it, have them take a look at it and see if your answers are the way you want it.
Hey, Sean, this is Danny. Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
There's a few people on the call that we'd like to ask you to mute your mics. Your
okay.
noise is extremely distracting. I think we'd all benefit from that. Thank you.
Okay. Can everybody, when you're not talking, make sure you're on mute? Okay. Good. I think we got that one. Okay. All right. So the answer to your question is once you've submit, it's not going to notify anybody except for the PMO that you're ready to commit or have it built. Now, if you had set this to, instead of ready to submit, if you had set it to I'm still working on this, I don't get notified. It just sits here until you get that taken care of. So or until you get it to where you like it, and then when you set it to I'm ready to submit, that's when I'll get notified to create it. So all right. So oh, the chat finally popped up. I don't know why it didn't work before. Okay. There was the mute. All right, Claudia, how will they be aware and check them out? Okay, so you need to let your boss know that you've submitted it and that it's available for them to look at. And then what do we put? But the question about digital platforms. For example, I have a goal that will require input into Absorb. So if you're dependent on a digital platform, there is a spot in here for digital platforms dependencies. And basically that's just helping you identify the fact that you've got some dependencies. And so when you start your project, you may consider the fact that if you're dependent on a digital platform, we need to include somebody from digital to make sure that that platform is ready to go. It's not going to automatically do anything, but it's at least it's getting that thought out there that this is dependent on Absorb or something. So, but this is where you would kind of comment it so that everybody's aware that you are dependent on a digital platform. All right, let's see if that chat will pop up again. Did I get everything? Now it's not. Is it underneath? There it is. Okay. See if I can move it to the next screen. See if it'll stay there. Okay. So now that the project is entered as that, I'm going to launch it right quick. So stand by. I can show you what I'm doing just while I do it. I'm launching this project. This part you don't need to remember. That's just so you know that something happened. All right. Oh, I meant to go back here. All right. New project, project management tools. I'm going to do, oh, it said it was not approved. I forgot to approve the project. All right. So this project is in here. I am going to approve it because I know what it is. Approved for launch. All right. This is behind the scenes stuff, so you can ignore that. Let's go back.
Claudia probably likes it. Metadata.
All right, now I will generate this project. I'm selecting V2 because I had selected on there, I checked, and it said that we needed a project plan, and V2 is the particular template that belongs to it. So just ignore what I'm doing, but I'm selecting the templates that are going to go with the project. Here is our project that's ready to go. I'm going to create a new workspace for it, PB and J, so that we will have access to it. So I'm going to create that and create the project. So this project's getting created, and in 20 seconds or so, we will have a project. So that was behind the scenes stuff. That's what I do to create your project. And after it's generated here, we will get started. All right. So how many people on here feel like they know Smartsheets really well? I see a hand wave.
Not really well. It's slow going, but it's great. It's a great program and can't wait to learn everything it has to offer.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stuff it can do, and then there's some stuff that it seems like it's more difficult at first until you figure out how things work. Um, so yeah, a lot of times you're like, "Oh, I wish I could just do this," but then it turns out there is a way to do it. You just got to think of it a different way. Um, but as soon as this is done, there, it's almost done. I think everything takes longer whenever you're on Zoom or Teams. There, it's done. Okay, so we will open our project. I'm going to move it over to this other browser here. All right, so we now have our PB&J project. Let me move that out of the way. And we have our dashboard. It's created. We've got our templates across the top. We've got all our stuff down below. It has our original description. It has our people, our dates that we've put in. And so we've got our budget in there and our tasks. And it has stuff that's open because by default, the examples are open. So the first thing we're going to want to do when we get this project is update our team roster. So we may want to come in here and identify who's on our project. And we've already got some of us in here. And if we have more people to add, we're also going to maybe have some suppliers, peanut butter and jelly suppliers, and so on. So we put our people in here. So I'm going to pretend we've already put most of our people in here, but let's say I'm going to add in Tiffany. So she's one of our team members. And so she's in here. And then we'll have Danny as a team member too. All right, so we have our team members in here. And so we've got that if we go back to our dashboard. So we've got our team members identified. Let's go look at our project plan and consider what we need to do for our project. So by default, we've got all this stuff. So we need to create our project plan. So we have a few different steps that I think we would need to take. Let's see. So by default, we have a few things. We've got our start date and that we've got our date, start date and end date. That does not look correct as far as the end date goes. This is not going to be that long of a project. The end date is going to be, the start date is just today. So I'm going to change that just to 1 day. We don't need that long of a start date. All right. So start date is reached. Gives us something to mark. Approval of the project's our charter from the project sponsor. Oh, that's a good point. We haven't checked our charter yet. We'll come back to that one. Obtain training on Smartsheets. We're going to say we are all trained up and good to go. We need to complete our RACI. We did take a look at that and add our team members. And we have our responsible and accountable. So we're going to say we did that. We're moving right along. And that was not a long task. And there's a few other things in our setups that we can do. I'm going to remove the rest of these because these are not as important. We're going to say, oh, we've decided not to do those. What's up?
Okay, for Smartsheet, Sean, my question. So yes, on the get approval of project charter from sponsor, how would we know we got approval?
Okay, so the best thing to do on that one is the sponsor is, I guess I could have said the accountable. The sponsor is a project management term for the accountable. So what you want to do is have your accountable review and approve your charter. So we have a charter. So let's save this. Let's go look at that charter right quick. So if we go over to the charter, this is basically the stuff that we entered in from the beginning. So let's start at the top. We've got our project ID. Every project has a unique ID created. So if anybody looks it up, it's that ID. This is our fiscal year. We had our stakeholder groups and our people. We've got our project description. This is basically a document that states what your project is, and it's basically everything you filled in earlier. We've got our business driver in here. We've got our solutions background, our key milestones, success criteria, dependencies, and so on. So we've got this document, and what you can do is you can even print this out as a PDF, and you've got this document that you can send to whoever that wants to know about your project. The project sponsor or the project accountable, whoever's accountable for it, should review this, because this is your project. If this is not correct, then you're not executing the right project. So it's really important that whoever's accountable for this project reviews this document and says, oh yeah, that's the project that needs to be executed. Because if this is wrong, if the business driver, for example, is not this, then we need to reconsider what we're going to do for this project. Or if these are not the success criteria, then you're not going to be successful because you're not going to hit the right success criteria. So it's really important that the accountable addresses this.
Awesome.
Okay, and I've got some questions in the chat. So what do we do with the question? Oh, we did that one. Once submitted, is there a way to recall? Oh, if you've submitted, this is back when we had the form, and you said it's ready to submit, and you hit submit. You can still go in and edit after you've said it's ready to submit. Basically, what it's going to do when you say ready to submit and I generate the project, it's going to lock a couple things. So I'm going to go back really quick and just show you what happens. So now that this project is launched, let's go back to the navigation hub and close that. So from here, if you still wanted to go back in and edit the original documents, like maybe your charter is not exactly accurate, you want to fix it. You looked at your charter, or your accountable looked at the charter and says, we need to fix it. So you can still come back in here and you can edit this stuff. What you cannot edit, and you may need approval for, are the success criteria, because what management doesn't want is people coming in June 30th next year and changing their success criteria to make it successful, which is different than what was approved on the charter. So, but for the most of this stuff, you can update it. Like if the solutions background, if maybe you tried something different, or if there's something else that needs to be changed, you can still come in here and make these edits. We haven't been asked to lock this other stuff down yet. So, so the rest of the stuff, if you've been like, I want to go fix that, go ahead. As long as it's not the success criteria, you can still come in and edit this stuff after the project has launched. All right. Let's see. What do we do about? Okay, no, I got to see which ones. All right. What is the best way to get the project once submitted if we do not get the link? If you want to find your projects, all right, let's go to the navigation hub from here, and you want to know where your projects are. There's a few different ways to get there. Master has every project. You could go in here and you could search for it. That's one way to search for it if you're looking for any project in the system. But if you're looking for one that you're responsible for, this little link right here may be the easiest. If you click on that, it's going to show you all the projects that you're responsible for on this list. And so it's real quick. Here it is. Here's the project that we just created. I'm responsible for it, so it showed up here. So it's just kind of it's like a shortcut link. It's not going to show any other project except for what you're responsible for. So that's kind of a quick link there. And same thing for your accountables. So like if department heads or anybody that has multiple projects they're accountable for, and you just want to get a quick list of projects that you're accountable for, and you click on that, it's going to list out the projects you're accountable for and who's responsible for those projects. So those are quick links that are on the navigation hub right there. But say you're not the responsible and you're not the accountable and you want to find a project. It's going to exist somewhere here. So they're all going to be on master. If it's a focus topic, it'll show up here. If it's a SMART goal, it should show up here. If it's a committee or council goal, it'll show up in this dashboard here. But nevertheless, if you go into master, let's click on master. There's 126 in the system so far. And if we come down here, this list here, It's alphabetical. We could search down and find our project down here somewhere. There it is, PB&J. So that's one of the ways you could find your project. So there's multiple ways to find the project, and it also gives a little bit of the status of getting those. So lots of different ways to find it. These are probably the easiest for the responsible project. Now, once you get your project, so I've got this PB&J project. Let's go back to the dashboard on it. One of the first things you might want to do is bookmark it so that it shows up on at the top. Me, I've bookmarked the navigation hub because I can find stuff pretty quick, but you might just bookmark it and stick it up here on the, with this little star. That way you don't lose it, and you can get to it quickly. All right. Let's see, 8 or so sheets that are. Okay, so you'd like, so if you have multiple sheets and you want to get a dashboard for it, and there's a few different ways. This one is referring to a particular department. So say we got a department. This is a private question here. So say you've got a committee or a council. In here, we could go look, say, learning committee, for example. There are a learning committee dashboard with all the learning committee projects, lifelong learning projects, and those all show up here. So it's kind of an easy way. And I was asked by somebody in lifelong learning to update this little report here to include the statuses from those projects. And so it includes the statuses from those projects. If we go back and look at one of those others, flagship events committee, for example, it may not include as much of status because I just updated the one that was requested. But if you have a particular committee or council and you want something to show up in your report, let me know and we can edit that. Separately, for department heads, I am looking to create a dashboard that will work for department heads similar to this, to where they would have a dashboard that would show them what they want. And we would get there. But right now, we have just what you see right here. So, but anything can be done. If the data is in the system and you need a dashboard to show it, it can be done. And let me know, and we'll figure out whether we can do something universal for everybody or something specifically for you. Status, really nice dashboard, pie charts, and so on. So if you would like to create these dashboards, so the question is, can you all create these dashboards with the pie charts and stuff? And the answer is yes. So you're going to need to know a little bit more about Smartsheets to do it, but yes is the answer. So if we click these 3 bars, and for the most part, I'm hoping that project teams don't have to look at those 3 bars. That's kind of like digging into the guts, but you stay within the project space that's there. But if you're going to create your own dashboard and you have the knowledge to do it, if you click on these 3 little bars and you find a place that you maybe have your own workspace, or you're going to create it up in your sheets. Everybody's got the sheets up here that are all your private sheets. Or if you have a workspace that you're going to create, like I have Sean's space that I created, then you can create a dashboard. And to create a dashboard of your own, you right click and you can create a dashboard. And so this would be a way to create your own dashboard, and everybody has the ability to create a dashboard. On these existing projects, you may only have read access unless you're the responsible or accountable. But if you have your own workspace that you create, then you can create a dashboard. So that's how you would do it. New dashboard. I already had a new dashboard there, but you put it in and you can start adding widgets. And so if you add it, you can add metrics, like you can add your charts like you saw. You can add web content, videos, Word documents, display, all kinds of stuff. So that's a whole nother discussion. But if you like, we could go into, I could add it to the agenda for next time on on how to generate a dashboard for what you're looking for. Okay, so that was digging into of the guts pretty good there. All right. Let's see what's next. Is there a way, a blank draft of the project charter that we can fill in before we go live in the PMO? So as far as that charter goes, this charter is basically pulled off of what you input into the original. So all this data that we have here is basically what you had there. And you were looking for a way to get that before you launch. The only thing is really just looking at it here. I don't have a way to print off this until we create the project. So like you have this stuff here. It's listed, but I mean, I don't think if I print this screen, it's going to look that well. And I don't have another way of generating that charter. Yeah, that doesn't work out because you got to scroll those sections and it doesn't quite work. But if you're, yeah, there's not a way to look at the charter before this is submitted. So sorry about that answer. All right, next is, can you invite guests to view the smart sheets that contribute to the PMO dashboards? Yes. So we'll start with, and then there's, for example, an outside consultants. Yes. If they don't have a YPO email address, yes, you can invite them. Tracks under tasks and smart sheets already. So we want to incorporate that work already, include in the smart sheet and allow them to contribute to the, yes. So the answer is yes, they can contribute. And all you got to do is add them in. So say I want to add someone to my project here. So this share button over here, I'm going to click this. And for me, I'm going to add in my personal email, SeanO'Neill@hotmail.com. If you guys need to send me a personal email, there it is. And then you can set the permissions over here. Now you're not going to have set them to admin, but you can set them to editor and give them the ability to share or not share, either way. So, and then this would be the email to them. This will send them an email with a link to the project. And if you don't want to send them an email, you could uncheck that. But if you do, you just check that. And then you have two buttons here. So before you click, there's a share dashboard, or our current page is called a dashboard, that charter, or there's share the whole workspace. The difference is this would only share this, and you only can share that one as a view access, but share this page, or you can share the entire workspace, which would be the entire project. So typically you're going to want to do the workspace when you're sharing it with a project team member. So if I hit share workspace, now I can see who the project's shared with, and SeanO'Neill@hotmail.com is now shared. So you've given them access to edit. So yes, if you've got members out there that are going to be contributing, or you have contractors that don't have a YPO email, no problem. So, and if we go back to our project plan, you'll see it will still be there because I shared the whole workspace to SeanO'Neill@hotmail.com. So he's still there. All right. All right. Good questions. I like questions. It gets me on to what you need to know. So that's good. All right. So for our peanut butter and jelly, feel free to ask more questions, and we'll answer those. So for this, I'm going to take a few of these off since we're going to go a little quicker. I'm going to say that I don't need these. I'm going to delete those rows. Those, I don't need those. Says me as the project manager here. I'm going to delete those rows. Those rows are gone. So what we are going to want for my project plan, I'm working with the project team. We need to, one of our major milestones, let's say, is contract with the school. So that's our major milestone. And so we need to draft the contract. And then we need to review and approve by our CEO, and then and say we needed one more item in there. I'll just hit the insert button on my keyboard and add one in. So we've added some tasks in here, and notice that one turned red. It's because I don't have the dates on it. So I'm just going to say it follows this one here, line 40. So if I put line 40 in here, it's going to put my dates in there, because line 40 says, by putting line 40 in as the predecessor, it said that that has to happen first before we can get the signatures. So I'm going to say that's 0% done. And this right here is a broken link, so that's not going anywhere. So I'm going to delete that. But we're going to say we start much sooner, because our end date we said was going to be October 1st. So we're going to start that one, say Monday. There. So now our dates are much better, and that's not going to take so long. That's only take, let's say, 2 days to draft it, 1 day to approve, 1 day to submit, and 1 day for signatures. We're record time here. So we're going to have our contract signed by the 13th. All right, so we got our contract with the school. Let's see, milestone number 3. We need to design the sandwich. So we need to design our sandwich, and so we may have some tasks under there. And then what else we're going to need? We're going to need to source all the components. Source all our components, and then after we source our components, we're going to we're going to have the build process. So we're going to have to the build of our sandwiches. After our build of our sandwiches, we're going to need to ship our product, and then we're going to need to serve the product and surveys. So we got product and surveys. All right, so we've kind of filled out our project plan for this. And under each of these, of course, there's going to be some subtasks that we would go through and add in. If we've got some more tasks, we can just hit the insert button. Let's say that one actually, we're going to indent the guy. It belongs to task number 1, and we're going to need to set this up. So let's see. So this one, we source all the components. We need to know what the design is. So we're going to say it's dependent on 42. And now we've got our start date on that, because it can't happen until after 42 is done. And this is only going to be a 1-day task. So we've got that figured out. We're going to keep these short. This is a quick project. All right, so we got our tasks in there, 0%. Oh, that one. All right, so look, I tried to put a 0 in there, or I tried to put a % complete. And it says because it has subtasks, see, I put that one indented. You cannot put in the status of that, because it's going to get it from its subtasks. So when I put in a 0 here, it gets its percentage. If I had a 1 here, it would have it there. Just like when I started putting this 100 in here, it rounded it up to a 23 there, and it's based on the level of effort. And like if this was a 1-day thing, that's going to really change it. So basically that and that and that, when you add up those, it became 60%. By putting this indented, it made that a subtask. And so you're no longer putting a status on that one, you're putting it on the subtask, and it rolls up. So that's what that one was. Does the predecessor field need to be filled in for every? No, it doesn't. So like this one here, I don't have the predecessor in there. You don't have to. You could just fill in your dates if you want. So the predecessor is optional. It's kind of a way to show, and what it does is if we go to our Gantt view, over here, you'll see these arrows. Those arrows are everywhere I've put in a predecessor. So if we take a look at our predecessor, let's slide this over a little bit. You'll see here, I said this one depends on line 32, which is right before it. So that's what that little arrow is. And this one here depends on 33, so there's a little arrow there. this one down here also says it depends on 33 somewhere. See that arrow? So I bet if I expand this, somewhere in here is a 33. There it is. There's a 33 on that one. So you can see with these arrows all the dependencies throughout. And what it will do is also allow it to shift. So like this guy here says he's dependent on 40, this one here. But if it wasn't, if I got rid of that, those tasks are no longer dependent, those arrows go away, but also that allows me to shift this earlier. So if I shift that to an earlier time frame, that would work too. By making that an earlier time frame, or that's a later time frame. Let's go into September, makes it earlier. So now it's like almost like task 2 is happening way before task 1. So by changing that predecessor, it's going to push that one out. So like if I say this it has to happen after this one, let's put 48, you'll see it automatically shifted it out because it has to happen after its predecessor. So that's what those predecessors do. They kind of push things around. And so I could sequence it and make this 48. And now I look at my project, this is beyond our deadline. So this isn't good. We can't go beyond our October 1st deadline. So we need to figure out what's going on up here. So this one here was way too long. This designing the sandwich can't be that long. We're going to make those much shorter tasks. They only take 1 day each. That's much better. Now our schedule's looking better. Notice these two are both dependent on 40 so that they can happen at the same time. You can do other funny things with these predecessors. So this task number 2 on building, let's go to the building of the sandwich. So we're going to play in here. This is a 2-day, these are 2-day tasks, we'll say. All right, so we've got this one that was dependent on sourcing of the components and design of the sandwich. So design of the sandwich is line 42. Sourcing of the components is line 46. We got to know where the components are and we have to have the design. So we're going to depend on both. So we're going to say this predecessor is 42 and 46. So now we have 2 arrows. It will not start until both this is done and this one's done. So both of these have to be done before this one can start. And so that's what by putting 2 predecessors in there. And then you can have something else where, say, this one says it's dependent on 50, but let's just say, let's get rid of that. If we wanted these 2 to have a start-to-start relationship, which basically means they start at the same time, I'm getting into the weeds. You don't have to do all this stuff. But I could say that this task must start at the same time as 53. I could say this is a 53 start to start. That's what the SS is. This works in Microsoft Project, if anybody knows Microsoft Project too, but 53 start to start. And so what that does is, see that little arrow there? It must start. So if I push this guy out, say this guy has to happen after that guy, let's put 52 in there. It's also going to shift that guy out because he has to start at the same time as that task. So that's kind of a way to link your project items and get your schedule built out. Those are optional. You can do the old way or the easier way or whatever you want to call it with just setting your dates for each of your tasks and manually moving them around. Or you can use predecessors to build your initial schedule. Or you could do this and then later on delete them afterward and it will leave the dates alone. So you could like do that to start with and then later on remove them whenever you want to play with your schedule a bit. So you have the options to do that. All right, so we've got our project plan here. We've got mostly built. Our schedule, now shipping of the product needs to happen all in 1 day. So we might have this task here of schedule the shippers. And then we don't have a predecessor on that, but we're going to say it has to start sometime before this one, which is going to be ship the product. Now this product has to ship because we have a deadline, and I'm going to insert here as a major milestone. This one has to start on the 1st right here. So let's go in here because we said we're serving on the 1st. So this one has to be on the 1st. So I'm going to get rid of its predecessor, and I'm going to set this to October 1st because that's when we're shipping it. And these guys, I'm going to get rid of their predecessors too. So we were going to do a few things. We were going to serve the sandwiches, and then we were going to survey the kids. So we've got that, and then we're not going to have a task there. So we've got those two tasks that need to take place, and those are one-day tasks, and they're both going to be on October 1st. So this is also going to be a 60. So it's going to be October 1st. So this is an important date. We can't miss it. That's when we're scheduled. So when I come back here, this schedule is no good. So when we talk about shipping the product, let's get rid of that task. That's not needed. So shipping the product has to take place before that. So we're going to have to shrink this down. We do know shipping the product is a one-day item, so that'll get down. But the scheduling of the shippers, it takes 5 days to schedule, and we're going to have to come earlier than that. So let's back it up to the 23rd. So now we know that it's ready to. This is going to hit it just right. So shipping the product, we're going to do dependent on this guy here, 59. Let's see if this works. 59, start to finish. There it is. So basically, it pushed us to the 30th. I said 59. It's dependent on this guy serving from the start of this guy to the finish of this guy. So it pushed it before that one. Let's make it bigger just so we can see it. So it basically said it has to finish before this one starts. So this guy's got the date of October 1st we were trying to hit, and now it's backing it up. And you could say the same thing for this one, that this one has to be, this is like a backwards predecessor. So this one has to happen before 57. So let's do 57 SF. And so what that does is it's going to back that one up to when we need to start the scheduling process so that we can hit our dates. So we've got that in there. So that's kind of a way to backwards schedule your items so that you can hit your target dates. All right. I'm assuming this is fluid process. So if you have things that are dependent on others, you can edit if the first thing is delayed. Yes. So this is, you can change things as needed. So this one is a hard date that can't move. So we didn't want this one to move, but other things may be more fluid. But as you change something, it will push other things out. If you don't, before I change the date on this guy, if I don't want to push this guy out, I may want to make sure that there's no arrows on it so that I can change that date without pushing its dependency out, if it's possible with that particular task. Because if I do change the date on this guy and push him out, it's going to, well, this one, it didn't let you, and because it's got a different dependency. So get rid of that one. But let's see, if we try to push this one out, is it going to let us? It did. So it pushed it out this time. It did not let us because it had a dependency on its main one, but it's pushed it out, and it pushed out these two tasks along with it. If we do it again, notice those are on the 20th. If we do it again and we push it out to the 20th, it pushed those out to the 23rd over the weekend, and you'll see it's shifting it out. And so, yes, it is fluid. You can change things along the way, and it will continue to update. You just have to keep an eye on what things you want to take place and when. Good question. All right, so we have our project in here. We've got our things on task. Let's say we've got our project plan all worked out. Oh, we didn't assign tasks to everybody. Well, what we may want to do is assign this to Tiffany. And this one down here will be, I'd have to get as the responsible, go review CEO and so on. So you can assign tasks to everybody. And Tiffany's going to receive an email probably here in a couple minutes after I hit the save button that she's been assigned a task. She's going to receive that email because we've already set up by default, the automation is there. So if someone's assigned a task, let's see, when rows are added or changed, alert them. And so they will be alerted that they a row was there. And if they get assigned to it, they will get an alert. So she'll get an email in a little bit. This row's been assigned to her. And if anybody changes it, she will get another alert that somebody changed a row that was assigned to her. And so she will get that update. So she'll always be aware when her items change, or if anything gets assigned to her, she'll be aware. So we've got our project plan. We've got that in there. Let's go in and check our project dashboard. See how we're looking. If we come down here to our project tab, we've got stuff due in the next 2 weeks. So this is our 2-week out report. We can see everything that's due in the next 2 weeks. So if we want to keep an eye on it, here are our key milestones. We can see our contract with the school. We're at 0%. The design of the set, it's kind of, here's the kind of the schedule over here, that Gantt chart, listing out the key milestones of the project. We kind of got a good pulse on how things are going. So we've got our project plan built. Now your boss has come to me, or my boss has come to me and said, hey, I need a status on this project. All right, so let's go do our narrative status. So we're going to go over here to the status update, and we're going to update the status. So work completed in the past month. Notice these locks over here. It's when you save a row, it's going to lock it so that it doesn't get updated in the future. And the reason behind that is that our management team wants to have a history of the status updates for the project, and for them not to get lost. And so only the most recent row added will get reported on the dashboard and on any status updates. But if anybody wants to go look at the history will be here. So right now, this row you'll see is not locked. So if I say we started the project, updated the project plan, we got charter approval. That's what we did over the past month. And then upcoming work for the current month is going to work with design and manufacturing. So we're going to move forward with our design and manufacturing this month. What's going well? Relations with the school are good. And team is ready. All right. And then top 3 concerns. So we have some concerns. We had some risks identified with the project. So we might not have any concerns at this time. I'm going to say right now, at this time, no concerns. We have no issues reported or anything like that. And this is the status update for, let's say, August. Status to our metric is we are on target. Just getting started. And then I'm going to put green for all these. If you type in G, it's it's quick. Or you can copy this. Copy this over here. And hit save. And so now, if we go look at our project dashboard, our status update is here that we just updated. It shows that we've updated it today. It's for this month, and everything's green. This is also what will get pulled into your accountables dashboard. Once we get that created, they will see all this data here. So now we've done our status update, and everybody is aware of where the project is. So now, if we're coming along, it's time for a project call. So on the project call, I always have my RAID log open. RAID log, I think, is super important for any project. I'm going to duplicate this tag because I'm going to actually have both open. So I'm going to have the project plan open also. Let me move this over here, and we'll take this one. Come on, play nice. over here so we can see it. So when I'm on a project call, I'm going to have both of them open. All right. So on the project call, we're going to review our actions that we already had, and we'll look at our project plan to see if we're on target. So for this first prod call, we want to identify any actions we have, identify any risks, and looking at this, these can be closed. This example risk, something that might happen, we're done with that one. We can close that one. This action here, what needs to take place, we're going to close this because this, whoops, we're going to close this one. We don't need that one anymore. We don't need this issue. This one, we can close that. Then we can close that one. So basically, those are it. But now we're talking on the call, and we're going to identify any risks or issues. So let's see. One issue is one of our team members identified that our supplier is out of stock. So our supplier is out of stock. And so this is an issue. It's open. This is very important because if we're out of stock, we can't manufacture, and the impact is big. So we've got our supplier out of stock. I'm going to assign it to one of my team members. Let's see. I'm going to assign it to Tiffany. Oops. Wrong. Tiffany. And so it's assigned to her. And this needs to be resolved sometime in the next couple of days. So we've got that on there. So we've got one action on there. And then when I hit this, it's going to get a unique ID. So she's going to be responsible for rate item 13. And then let's say we want to think about what might go wrong with the project, not just what is wrong with the project. So we're going to come up with a risk. So one of the team members identified that there may be, or we identified before, there could be peanut allergies. However you spell peanut. Oh, that's it. Could be peanut allergies. So this is a risk. Priority on this risk. What's the impact of it? I think a small percentage of kids would not be able to partake. And then we're going to assign this to me. And this risk, we need to have any mitigations in place, I would say, by the 20th. And so we've got this risk on here. And now we know that that's a possibility. We'll probably talk about it on every project call on if there's an update for it. Another one could be like a pre. So there could be other issues to consider. We'll keep that one open. This one is low priority. Impact could be more. We'll assign this to our external person, Sean O'Neill at hotmail.com, that guy. And he's going to manage risk. So we have our risks, our actions and stuff. And in our project call, we're doing good. We're going to take a look at our project plan, what's going to be taking place this month or this until our next call, working with the contract, designing the sandwich. And so we'll hit save here. If we go back to our, we'll look at this on the project call. And as we're talking about our project plan, we'll stick our tactical items over here, things that need to come up. Someone needs to do something, and then we'll be good to go. So now if we go back to our project dashboard, we have had our project call. We have our current risks and issues listed down here. The ones that are closed are not listed here. We can see we've been tracking them. We've closed 57% of them so far. We did not escalate anything. We're looking good. So we would be ready for the next one. Now we're at the end of our hour, so it's kind of been a example project. If are there any last minute questions? I've kind of rushed us all the way to the end, but essentially that's how you create a project. That's how you create your SMART goal, how you could manage your SMART goal. There are smaller versions. So if your SMART goal is an individual SMART goal that it doesn't have multiple people on the roster, then if you say project plan not required on that intake form, then you won't have a project plan. It'll just have a RAID log. So you can just track a few of your tasks and not have so complex of an idea. So that's always a possibility. Any other questions out there? All right. I hope it was interesting enough and helpful. If you want to look at this particular PB&J project, I can share it with you. Just let me know, and then I'll leave it up there for a week or so, and then I'll probably delete this particular project. So, all right. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks, Sean. It was very helpful.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sean. Goodbye.